Yeah. Yeah.
It's not my fault. There was nothing.
Jesus, you've led me a merry dance.
What do you want from me?
I want to ask you a couple of questions. Why did you run off like that? Where are your cronies? And why did you kill that bandit?
What?
Right, one thing at a time. And now tell me exactly what happened. And don't leave anything out.
That's quite a long story.
Don't worry, I won't get bored.
All right. I woke up in the middle of the night because I needed to go for a piss. So I went out into the dark, same as usual, only there was something there that shouldn't have been. At first I thought it was just a trick of the light, but it wasn't. And then it was too late. They went past, and I thought they must be horse thieves. I would have yelled, only I was afraid they'd kill me. So I waited until they were out of sight, and I started to sneak away, but then...
Then the slaughtering started?
Yes. I thought they'd steal the horses and ride off. That would be bad enough, but then the killing started, and flames everywhere. It was terrible, like hell itself.
And then?
It seemed some of them didn't like it either. They started squabbling among themselves, and some of them started running back where they came from, right towards me. And I had that thing in my hand, the hoof pick.
So you stabbed the first one in the belly?
No. He ran right into me. He was running fast for a fellow with a limp. He pushed me aside and I fell on the ground. Then he told me I'd better lie low if I valued my life. And he ran off with the others. I did what he said and hid. Then the rest of the gang ran past.
And then?
Then I waited in case that limping one from Ujits came back. I didn't dare come out until I was sure. I think it was almost light.
What about the others? Was there anything you noticed about them?
I don't know. There might have been maybe 8 of them, and 2 of them were really big. That's all I can remember.
Do you know what they argued about?
I didn't hear everything, but I reckon some of them were only there to steal and wanted no part in the killing.
That sounds terrible. I know exactly how you feel.
If only I yelled. Maybe they...
If you had, you'd most likely be dead. It probably wouldn't have done any good anyway.
But still...
There was nothing you could do. That's all. I've heard everything I need to hear, so I'll leave you be.
Wait! What about me? Won't you help me out?
Perhaps I could. What would you like?
I'd like to go back to the stud farm, but those cutthroats who want to kill me are still around. Will you help me?
They're out of the way. I ran into them on my travels.
Really? That's great, but...
What?
I'm afraid to go back to the farm. I ran away, and God knows what they'll think about it all. I don't know if they'll even want to talk to me.
I could go and ask them if it's important to you.
Would you? You'll definitely have their respect, the way you took care of those cutthroats.
I could do with a bite to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
I found Ginger. He begged me to ask if he can return, man.
Why should I take him back? It might be his fault I had to bury my husband.
What?
Why else would he flee but guilt? The men said they didn't see him in bed. He didn't have a clean conscience because he gave those murderers a signal.
That's not true. He fled because one of the attackers recognized him and Ginger was afraid he'd come back and kill him.
Those are just excuses. He wouldn't dare come back.
But they came back the very same day. If he hadn't run, they'd have killed him and everyone else.
Why would they do that?
Why not? They'd already murdered several people, why not a few more?
And now I'm supposed to take him back? What if they come back for him and kill one of my daughters in the process?
The cutthroats who were after him have been taken care of. And the rest have no reason to return here.
And what about for revenge? I can't take him back.
There's no need to fear vengeance. The bandits who were looking for Ginger are in hell, and no one else knows about him.
But what if they find out somehow?
The only way they could find out would be a holy vision. Anyway, I reckon they'll have more pressing concerns than coming back here.
Well, all right. Let him come back. But he'd better not do anything like that again. May the Lord watch over you.
God be with you.
I talked to Ginger and found out what happened.
Out with it, then.
Ginger fled because he recognized one of the raiders. He was afraid they'd come back to silence him.
Well, he was right. They were asking about him. So who did he recognize?
He didn't know his name. Some fellow with a limp from Ujits.
All right. Since you've gone this far, you may as well ask around in Ujits. We've enough to do here in these parts anyway. Sir Radzik will tell you about it. He said to send you to him if you haven't already been.
I'd like to improve my swordsmanship.
Certainly.
I'm interested in more advanced techniques.
All right, but it'll cost you. Now, pay close attention.
Shit, what's going on?
My lord, I managed to find a clue to the whereabouts of the bandits.
Excellent. Fern had already told me what's been happening, but I'd like to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
The whole story, or just the gist of it, sir?
It's up to you what you consider important.
Well, in the end, I tracked down the stable boy who fled in fear of his life, and for good reason, too. He put me on the trail of a crofter from Ujit with a limp.
And his name?
The boy didn't know him by name, only by sight. But if I ask around, I'm sure folk will know who limps and keeps peculiar company. Villagers like to gossip.
But what if he's not there? He could have fled, maybe even to Kuttenberg.
If I don't find him in Ujit, I'll ask around. Someone will know something about him.
All right. Better go to Ujits then. Find this limping footpad and get the names of the others out of him. They have to face justice for what they did. I want to see them hang. Then bring him to me in Mehoyed, and I'll decide on his fate.
Certainly, sir. Why choose Mehoyed?
It's somewhat at the centre of events, isn't it? And what's more, there's another stud farm there.
Sir, do you think they're going to try the same thing again?
I shouldn't think so. Everyone will be on the alert now, but the secluded dwellings are more vulnerable. There are few people in them. They're scattered everywhere, and we can't guard them all.
But the bandits won't find much silver in places like that.
There's always a groschen or two, some food and so on. Anyway, how much silver did they get from slaughtering those horses?
True. If they'd stolen them, they could have sold them. Those were fine animals.
Exactly. It's not about the silver. It's about something else.
But what?
Creating fear. Such great terror that you won't even squeak when they come to cut your throat. Never mind raise your hand against them. Fear that will root you to the spot, staring like a rabbit entranced by a stoat, waiting for the death blow to fall. Helpless to do anything about it.
I have some news about the investigation, sir.
Good. Tell me.
The trail leads to Ujits. I found out one of the bandits is from there, a fellow they call Limpy Lubosh.
I see. What else?
That's all I've found out so far, sir.
All right. Come back and report to me as soon as you learn anything new. Good luck to you.
I'd like to buy a horse.
I'm glad to hear it. We're badly in need of selling some. Have you looked them over?
I have. Fine animals.
The best there are. Is there one in particular you fancy? A wonderful Arab stallion. Heavenly. When you look into those eyes of his, you'd swear he was human.
Maybe some other?
That horse is as loyal as they come. Only we had to raise the fence to keep him in. Jumps like a roebuck, he does.
Maybe some other?
I'll have to think it over.
God be with you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You can return home. It was hard work to convince them, so please don't get into trouble when you go back.
Thank you. I'd like to give you something, but I've got nothing except if you're ever traveling by way of Neuhof, stop by and I'll show you something with the horses.
the hell were you brought up?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you tidy yourself up a bit?
I've brought you something.
Oh, Hal. Is this for me? This must have cost you a fortune, but I like it very much, thank you. You really mustn't bring me any more gifts like that, or you'll spoil me.
What actually happened to you in Scalitz? I mean, during the attack and... well, you know.
That's a long story. Not a very cheerful one. Are you sure you want to hear it now?
I do.
All right, then. It was a day like any other. Another ordinary day in my ordinary life. I awoke at first light, before the others. I like those kind of mornings best. When the first rays of sunshine quickly drive away the nighttime cold. Hello, you. Come here. And the breeze carries the scent of dew-covered grass and the bloom of spring. I wanted to get my chores done before the rest of the household was up. And this morning seemed made for that very purpose. Right, better get to work. I have to feed the hens, weed the garden, feed Tinker. I'd better get it all done before Papa is up. Look what I've got for you. You'll love this. I must bring Tinker a piece of meat. That'll be a nice treat. Look what I've got for you. You'll love this. Here, chickie, chickie, chickie. Here you are, girls. Fill your beaks. That should do it. The garden is looking how it should again.
Come here, would you? What's the matter with you today, girl? You're like a lost soul.
What do you need, Papa?
Go up and see the blacksmith. He made some nails for me. Here's some coin.
All right. Anything else while I'm at it?
No, unless you want to stop off at the market and buy some supplies. And before you go, wake Samuel. The boy's still lying in bed and won't stir. He ought to follow your example and Stebor's. You two don't have to be pushed to work. Well, at least he's still better than that good-for-nothing Zbyszek. The lazy wretch. A helper like that isn't worth a damn. If it weren't for his father, God rest his soul, I'd have thrown him out on his ear long ago.
Now, Father, you shouldn't be so hard on Zabishek. You know he hasn't had an easy life.
And who has, girl? That's no excuse for laziness. You could tell him to get his ass to work, too.
Right, go for nails, send Samuel and Zabishek to work. If it's at all possible.
Aye, just so. Oh, and Teresa, once you've done all your chores for the day, I've a little surprise for you.
A surprise, Pa? Don't you want to tell me about it now?
Curiosity killed the cat. What kind of surprise would it be if I told you, girl?
Oh, all right.